Nicole Huntsman here from moderncosmic.com. We have got our sun sign compatibility here on this video. Gemini are the people born from May 21st through to June 20th. You'd be a Gemini sun. Gemini is a zodiac sign ruled by Mercury, and I always think of a flock of birds chirping at each other and talking to each other. Gemini energy is really busy. We've got Mercury, which orbits the sun in 88 days. That's the year. That's a year for Mercury, right? It's very quick. So Mercury types, whether it's a Gemini or it's a Virgo, they have a nervous energy to them and a busyness. Gemini applies it a little bit more to the mind, but Virgo does too. But it's communication. It's this sort of extroversion of this busyness. So a Gemini will, when they text you, or anyone who has a lot of Gemini in their chart, it's like long texts, or they'll keep in touch with you, or they really need communication from their partner. They need that kind of contact. That's what they're good at. Also, Geminis, they need to be moving. They love to try new things. They always have new ideas. They're quite bubbly and refreshing, and they can change their minds a lot and change their life direction a lot because they almost have too many ideas and too many things going on. They can also be a little bit fidgety, mentally and physically, a little ADD. It's kind of a Mercury trait. Our high-functioning Geminis, we have someone who's easy and breezy. They've got a cheerfulness, a versatility to them. They're good at multitasking. They're rational for the most part. There are other things to look at in the chart that will suggest otherwise, but they're open to new experiences. They're spontaneous and fun, and they've got a good sense of humor, conversationalists. They're just kind of happy, happy-go-lucky. That's very Gemini. If you're pure Gemini, they don't wade too much in those deeper waters of deep emotion and existentialist feeling or thought. A low-functioning Gemini, on the low side, they can be overly loquacious, right? They can text you too much. They can maybe not recognize when it's time to just we don't have to be talking the whole time. We can sit in silence. Remember, you need to look at the person's moon sign, their Mercury, and other things in their chart and see where that sun is actually placed, which house it's placed in. That's going to adjust this because Gemini is mutable, so it's quite overridable by other signs that are in the birth chart, okay? But for the most part, they're talkative. And if they're not extroverted with their talkativeness, then it's happening inside of them, okay? So they're going to analyze everything, and they're going to have a lot going on inside of them. So it's almost like the quiet Gemini is the one you really need to worry about because there's even more going on inside of them than the one that's extroverting it. All right, they have an anxiety to them. They can be flirty, not really anything necessarily meant by it, but they are quite flirty with the opposite sex. It can be hard to pin down. They can have problems with commitment. They can have like a Peter Pan thing happening where they just want to be like a little kid for forever and they won't grow up and, like buckle down to the realities of life. So they can be a little bit childish in a different way than Aries. It's kind of like they just don't want to take things seriously. They want to be free to... It's almost even just they change their mind so much that they can't just stay focused on one path. Gemini in love. Geminis like things to be fresh, light, bubbly, like I've said, they're little butterflies flittering about from flower to flower. In love, they enjoy conversation. They have to have conversation. They have to have communication, whether it is verbal, whether it is written through text or letters, or sharing music with each other, or sharing poetry or things that have been read. They are always like talking to someone. True Gemini is quite talkative and social, and sometimes in romantic relationships, because they have this sweetness to them and this lightness and easiness, when they really fall in love with someone, they're not quite sure what to do with these feelings. It's kind of like, oh, geez, like it's bringing them, they're usually up in their headspace or this throat chakra area, right? This is where they operate. And it brings them down into the part of the body where there are no words. They can't put words on the feelings they're feeling. And that is really uncomfortable for someone who is used to and excels at putting words to things. So many times they run from commitment because they don't know what to do with it. They're like, what is this thing, okay? So in love, Geminis many times have a harder time with people who are perhaps more watery or more feelers, this kind of thing. They like to keep things light. And again, look at the other signs in the chart. Look at where that sun is placed to give you an indicator. If you've got someone who's got multiple planets and air signs, then that's what we're talking about. Gemini's expectations in love. So they need space, but they also need a lot of conversation and repartee and connection, which is a funny little thing, right? They just need space to know they can go and like wander off and do their little thing and then come back. They've learned some new things and you've got to learn some new things. You have new stuff to talk about, new things to enjoy together, okay? They like jokes. They have like a little naughty sense of humor. They love playing together. They don't like emotional mind games. They do not like passive aggression. The water signs rule that realm, okay? The water signs are like professional at passive aggression and emotional manipulation. Geminis are just going to be like, what are you doing? That doesn't work for me. And then they'll just flit off somewhere else, okay? You can't tie them down. If you try to tie them down, you are fighting a losing battle. So, okay. Also, they don't like feeling a sense that their partner's leaning on them for their emotional validation. You know, Gemini, they need a partner who is strong on their own, who, you know, doesn't need to be validated by them. You can't be clingy with a Gemini. That doesn't work for them. So Gemini's biggest fear. Now, because we have someone who is quite flighty, and they can be shallow at times, or they can appear shallow. It's just because they're interested in so many things. They're going a million miles a minute, and they got so much stuff going on in their head, and they, you know, going all these different directions, and they have this genius to them, you know, this Gemini Mercury quickness and quicksilver thing happening. They're afraid that maybe they really don't have the emotional depth, okay? A lot of times Geminis have been accused by loved ones in their lives that you know, can't you take this seriously? Why can't you commit to me? You know, these kinds of things. And the Gemini, this is an issue for them, something that they really worry about because, as I said earlier, that heart space is not their natural habitat, okay? They are cerebral and they are, you know, throat chakra, they're communicators. Heart stuff, intuition, this does not have words. So unless that Gemini has some strong placements in their chart that they need some water placements or even some fire, which will bring them down into their body at least, or earth, you know, this is going to be a fear of theirs. They're going to worry that they don't have emotional depth. So don't ever accuse them of being shallow, right? See them and meet them where they're at and help them put words to their feelings. Help them put words to the things that they can't voice, okay? That's how you can help them overcome this fear and help them to grow. Leo Sun. These are our folks born from July 23rd through August 22nd. Leo, as you may know if you are a Leo or if you're dating a Leo, this is the lion. That's the symbol, the animal symbol. When I think of Leo, I think of the sun, though. I like to think of the way that a lion radiates its roar out away from itself, right? Our sun radiates its light and energy and radiation out from its body, which of course keeps our planet here, the Earth, keeps our ecosystem working, keeps us all alive. It's why we have plants to eat and animals have plants to eat, and etc., and oxygen and all the good stuff that we need here to keep this beautiful planet humming. So with that comes creativity. You think of all the things that are here on the Earth, and it's a process of creation, of birth and death and regeneration and over again. That's all fueled by the sun. So when you think of a Leo, I want you to think of this dynamic, outward, creative energy. That is Leo. A Leo is here to self-express. They're here to be heard, to be seen. Many times Leos, if someone has a very strong Leo chart, you know them when you see them. I met 2 Leos just this past week, and I knew immediately before they even told me their birthday that they were Leo, or at least had a Leo rising or a Leo moon, you know. Leo has a colorfulness, and not literal colorfulness necessarily, although it can be, but there is a sparkly, energetic, charismatic energy that comes from the Leo, okay? Now, on the high side with Leo, we have a fixed sign. So this is someone who, once they've made their mind up about something, they're quite loyal and they're committed, sometimes to a fault even. They can sometimes, like the Taurus or sometimes the Scorp, or, you know, they sometimes can get themselves in situations where they stay longer than they should, okay? Not always. Now, if they're, as long as they're being admired and they feel like this is a situation where they're getting their pets and the affection and the time and the admiration that they need from their partner, they can overstay relationships that are maybe with partners who are on again, off again. You know, that can sometimes happen to a Leo, because when it's on, it's really good and they feel fantastic. And then when it's off, they can feel dejected and they want to win back the on again affections of their partner, if that makes sense. So that can happen sometimes with Leo. Now, back to the Leo temperament though. Also, this is a personality type that's quite protective of loved ones. It's a fire sign. They have a natural leadership quality to them. They are warm and affectionate. They're quite generous. They like to, many times, a lot of Leo's men in particular, they're gift givers, you know. Because there's a nostalgia, sort of like the way Cancer is nostalgic, but in a different way. They like to be giving the gifts or giving the love. You know, that's this outward flow of energy. But also, let's move to the shadow side of Leo. On the shadow side, Leo can also be pouty if they're not getting the attention that they want or that they feel they deserve. They can be pouty. They can be you know, like they're the divine child, actually, of the zodiac, the divine child, the sun, and you know, they can, at times, if they feel like they're not being loved by their partner, as a mother would love a child, they pout like a little baby. So also, Leos need to feel like they're number one. They need to feel like they are the be-all and end-all. I have so many clients. This is really funny. It's anecdotal, of course, but I would say I can think of right now 5 or 6 different clients who have and also 2 people that I've dated who have exes who have their moon in Leo, that are female with the moon in Leo, and who broke up with, okay, mind you, they broke up with the male partner, but then after that male partner has moved on to a new female, the Leo moons come back into the picture, okay? Or they still need to feel like they're number one, even though they don't even really care about the partner, okay? Now this is shadow side. So hopefully if you're listening to this and you're a Leo, you don't do such silly tricks. But if you do, we're on to you. Okay, now what else? Also, you've got, they can be vain, right? They can be proud, dignified on the high side and proud kind of on the like low functioning side, where they don't want to look bad, so they can cover their tracks or, you know, lie about something to save face. They're such good salespeople. They're so good at talking you into whatever it is that they kind of have in mind. Like a true Leo, they're so enthusiastic and charismatic. You feel like, well, yeah, I want to do whatever it is you're talking about. That sounds great. You know, they can really sell people into something. But you know, that can also make them seem they can be bossy sometimes, or they can be a little overbearing with what they think is the right way. If you're working like in a team, sometimes the Leo can be like, wants to get its way. It's the king and the queen, you know, so they can be a little demanding or bossy. But ultimately, they are a strong leader, and a lot of times they are correct. They have a good intuition, and it's different than a water sign intuition. It's a fire sign intuition. It's just kind of like you know, they'll strike out and try something, and if it doesn't quite go the way that they expect it to go, they'll fix it and make it go the way. You know what I mean? That's a fixed energy. It's like taking what you've got in the present moment and making it work. Okay, applying energy to that to make it work. Now, as far as also another shadow side thing, they do have a high need for thank yous and for praise. And I don't know that that's necessarily shadow side or low functioning. I feel like that's actually just, if you as a partner or a friend, you understand your Leo, you recognize that they are generous and they give, okay? But they don't do it the way a Virgo does it, where it's like self-effacing, like they give. They don't really expect nor kind of in a way want or feel comfortable with receiving in return. Leo's not like that. Leo's the divine child. It's like a kid playing. They want to throw you the ball, and then they want you to throw it back to them. Like, okay, you know, like they want the back and forth. They want to give to. It's just like the sun and the moon, right? So the sun shines on the moon reflects the light back. They just want this reciprocity there, and they want to be told thank you, or, you know, like to recognize that they're making an effort and they're focusing all their divine energy on you. So recognize that and know that you are with someone who is here to express their ego. So you need to support that sort of life purpose. Okay. Okay, Leo's in love. Now, you've got a Leo, someone who's true Leo, They're very romantic, they're ardent, and because remember we talked about them being the divine child, there's an innocence to the way that they love. They like to have fun, they like to be spontaneous and surprise their partner with, you know, whether it's a fun trip or it's even just something simple like a letter, a love letter that they've left for you on the counter, or you know, a female Leo, I can see her leaving like lipstick kisses and words and stuff on the mirror, like that kind of thing. Like they like to demonstrate and express their love when they're really in love with someone, and they're really proud. Like on social media, you see Leos, they'd be posting like pictures of their partner and the two of them together, and they, you know, they want to show you off. And it's not out of, it's out of this place of kind of like, you know, they just admire you as well. And so when they admire, they have to like let others know. They can't like keep it to themselves. Okay. Okay. Expectation. Okay. Okay, Leo's expectations in love. Now, Leos many times, like I said earlier, they have a little pride and dignity to themselves in the way that they operate. They appreciate a partner who also takes pride in themselves. And this includes physically. You know, a lot of Leos, they can be kind of flashy with the way that they dress. You could have a Leo that started out, you know, with not a lot of money and then gets a job in the real world and starts making some good money. And then the first thing they would do is go out and buy some really nice clothes, you know, like they like to, again, because they're this energy that's about flowing outward from us. It's an extroverted expression of energy. So to be seen, to be heard, to make a mark, that's Leo. And so the way you dress many times, they can be bold. So they like a partner who is also someone who presents well, you know, someone that they can take out in public and be proud of. Now, also expectations. They expect loyalty. They are loyal. If they have committed to you, if they're in love with you, you know it's a Leo, okay? Of course, the whole chart, we need to look at the whole chart, but Leo's quite expressive and ardent. When they're in love, they can't help but tell you, so you will know. And if you violate that and you are not loyal in return, that will really anger a Leo. And it's the one thing that would make a Leo leave, really. And a Leo who stays in a situation where their partner is cheating on them, they've got to have some, I don't know, water or earth on that moon, or, you know, some other things happening there, perhaps some Virgo Pisces stuff happening, or 6th and 12th house stuff happening to get them to stay, and they're going to hate themselves the whole time that they're staying. So loyalty is important. Okay, so Leo's biggest fear is, you know, their number one kind of, remember, they're the sun. So they need to be recognized. They need to feel like they're doing something with their life that's important. In their relationships, they need to feel like they're important to the partner. There is a little bit of an egocentrism to them. I mean, look, the sun, it's our star that holds our entire solar system together. So they probably deserve, and they probably, you know, a Leo typically, and as long as they're well aspected, they're quite loving, and they deserve the admiration that they need, you know, they seek. Their biggest concern is that they're not important, that they're not, you know, number one to their partner, that they're not number one in whatever their field of work is. You know, they're quite ambitious. Because it's the sense that you came, you lived your life, but you didn't do the one thing you were supposed to come do, which is leave a mark, an indelible mark that's unique to you. That's Leo's mission. So if they feel like they're not accomplishing that, then you got a sad Leo. So that's their fear. So support them in their efforts, their creative efforts, their career efforts. Be patient with them when they do go through a little ego, times where they get a little, kind of a little inflated ego. If you can help bring them back to earth, that's always good. But do it in a nice way without hurting their dignity. Okay? And ultimately, they just need love and affection returned back to them. They're pretty simple. They want to be admired, loved, and snuggled, and all of that good stuff. So that's your Leo. All right, Gemini and Leo. So here we've got Gemini. This is Mercury. And this is a symbol that we would traditionally associate with the court jester. Okay, they're entertaining, they're juggling, which is hands, that's Gemini, multiple things at once. And then you've got Leo, the king or the queen. Okay, so, you know, hey, the initial attraction between these two is kind of clear. The Gemini is there to entertain and to give life to Leo and Leo's ego. So whether this is Gemini flattering Leo and Leo feeling like $1,000,000, or Leo in return perhaps sitting and watching Gemini and enjoying all of Gemini's little antics, there's a little reciprocity and back and forth at the beginning of this relationship. Okay, these two, you've got some really basic differences in the way they operate. Gemini is interested in multiple experiences, including multiple relationships with multiple people. Doesn't mean it has to be sexual necessarily, although if we've got a Gemini Mars or Gemini Venus, then you do have somebody that's interested in multiple extracurricular activities, let's say. But with a Gemini Sun, they need all these different people to stimulate them mentally. They're really at their peak in the world of ideas and communication. You take that Leo Sun needs someone to adore them. They really do. In a relationship, they need someone that admires them. Even if you've got a pretty humble Leo with a lot of like Virgo in their chart or something, they still need somebody who says thank you, somebody who appreciates them and who admires them. Gemini can be a little too busy to do that sometimes, and we'll find Leo's demands a little bit irritating after a while. Leo can be a little bit bossy, and Gemini doesn't really take well to being bossed around. Even though they're a mutable sign, they'll put up with it for a bit if they're charmed by the Leo charisma, but after a while they'll just kind of do their own thing. Specific areas of conflict, as I said earlier, you've got that Gemini need for multiplicity, and you've got that Leo need for singularity, in that they are the singular object of their partner's attention. So it's an obvious disharmony right there. Gemini needs multiple opportunities to connect with a lot of different people, and Leo just wants their partner to focus on them. Specific areas of harmony between these two would be, you've got Gemini an air sign and Leo a fire sign. They feed one another in a sense. You think about air and fire. Air is oxygen is what fire needs to survive. So that Leo will appreciate all of Gemini's energy and Gemini's ideas and, Gemini's bubbly personality. That's going to feel really great to the Leo, and especially if it's directed towards the Leo's interests, the creative interests, or if the Leo is telling the Gemini about their latest idea, and the Gemini is able to rattle off all the different ways that they can make that happen, or different people they know that can help them make it happen, that kind of thing. There can be a nice reciprocity between those two socially as well. You've got the desire for both of them to support one another's creative projects. There's a lot of conversation, a lot of talk about new ideas and new projects and directions this couple can go in. The Gemini will entertain the Leo in a sense. That Leo will feel like, the Gemini is it's kind of their sidekick, is sort of the feel of this relationship. How others will see this partnership will be, this is, again, a lot of the Gemini relationships have this kind of playful, fun sibling feel. With Leo, people will sense that the Gemini is there to keep that Leo entertained and to sort of shake up the Leo's world, and they will feel like the Leo is there to teach that Gemini a little bit about taking pride in yourself and the fiery side of that fixed Leo energy, being focused and being determined about something and going after it, something creatively. There could be a nice little back and forth in that way between these two.